Hey guys, so what we've been up to for the last, I think, 3-4 weeks, well, all of the summer, was make Matt's cosplay for Shiro of that new show on Netflix, Voltron. So yeah, here's behind the scenes, and I'm going to give you a little bit of tips on how to do your own cosplays. First thing that I did with this cosplay is, of course, research the character. I've never watched the show. I had to watch the first episode, see how the movement was in the costume, and I actually bought the Voltron comic to see how, all the angles of the suit and how simplified it is in this. So I went to a YouTuber called Evil Ted, and I'm gonna link him in the description, and he gives a lot of insight on how to make full body armor. Well, not full body, but just like the chest armor and gauntlets and shoulder pads. So I based off how to draw out the designs from there. And yeah, if you have any questions on that. So we measured Matt, and I used the measuring tape. If you're gonna use the thick foam, which is like EVA, whatever, it's EVA foam. If you're gonna use this, I would make a ruler out of it and wrap it around the person and measure that way and compare it with the other rulers you have. For the foam, there's all different thicknesses for it, so this would be less than half an inch in thickness. And if you also go to the craft store, they have really, really thin. I don't even know how to measure that, because I was never good at measuring. So yeah, now to cut the foam, you could use an X-Acto knife, but I'm a little clumsy, so I just use this knife. It's kind of like the same, except I had to go through it like 3 or 4 times till this foam was actually cut. Also, when you're using knives, I would buy like these gloves that the knives can't go through, like really thick gloves. I know there's a certain name for it. My dad actually bought these for us. But yeah, it really works for anything. So I would buy these gloves like Home Depot or something, and also wear protective goggles at all times. You never know. You go up with a knife or something and be I'm a spaz like that too. So yeah, be careful with the knives. Now for sanding, you could buy all different kinds of sandpaper. We bought actually 3 different kinds, and we didn't even use it. We ended up using a sand block type of thing, which is easy with curves and stuff, so I would look for that kind of thing. The other thing was we rounded out edges with a Dremel, which is this little sucker here. And it has all different speeds, and you have different ends you could put on, different sandpapers and different shaped ends, so you could make curves and circles for extra designs. Oh, be careful with the Dremel though, because once you use it, you can't go back. Obviously, that part's shaved off, it's shaved off forever, so it's bad if you don't test it out yourself first. And always have the gloves and the goggles, and cover up your nose, because that shit goes all the way up your nose for sure. And yeah, for days I was blowing out sand dust for a while, until I realized maybe I should put something around to get that out of my face. So after sanding, what I did was obviously glue the pieces together. I used Barge glue, and it's like $30 on Amazon. If you're gonna use the EVA, whatever foam that's, however you pronounce it, if you're gonna use that, I would totally recommend using the Barge glue, because that stuff's like cement. And of course I spent 80% of the time wiping off the glue off my hands, because it's that strong and it's a pain in the ass to get off your hands. And what you do with that is heat up the edges first a bit, then you put a thin layer of this glue on top. It comes with the brush itself inside the cap, so that's cool. And then after that, I usually leave it like 15 minutes, let the glue dry on each end, like completely dry, which it won't be. I'll use the a heat gun. I kind of broke our heat gun. It sparked like shit. So we had to use a very, very powerful hair dryer. Usually they say hair dryers don't work, but ours actually did. So we dried both ends, not completely dried, and then we put them together. And when you do it right, it sticks right away. Of course, it's gonna come apart a little, so you gotta put like, maybe if it's a round piece, like a belt around it like we did, or something else to support it to keep it together for a bit. And I think, you know, I don't know how other people do it, but sometimes I leave it for a few hours or a whole day for it to dry. Once the pieces were glued, we used Kwik seal over the cracks. So if there's big cracks in it and you know, you gotta have it leveled with the foam, you could buy this plumber's glue. You know, they use it on pipes and everything to seal up cracks, and you put the Kwik seal over these cracks, very thin layer, and you're good to go. Now for painting, what you gotta use before you put spray paint or whatever else, acrylic paint, is Plasti Dip, so that the paint doesn't get absorbed into the foam. This turns the foam kind of like a plasticky layer and hardens it a bit. So you can get Plasti Dip at your local auto shop or at Home Depot or hardware store. After I did the Plasti Dip, you know, you don't need to do this process, but I did it anyway. I put acrylic paint. I painted acrylic paint on the pieces just to fill up, you know, that layer, and to make sure, just in case I missed some edges or inside edges, I painted everything the color it was supposed to be like. So white, I did 3 layers of white acrylic paint, and then I went outside and I got the spray paint and I sprayed over it. So what I used for the spray paint was I went to the auto store and I got white touch-up paint. You could actually go to your art store and they sell spray paint there, so you can get it there too. So make sure you always have a mask, because you don't want to inhale any of those toxins. And I also found this nice little helpful gun thing, so that you don't have to keep pressing. My fingers got sore after a while using spray paint cans. So this thing, you slip it right through, and then, you know, you paint it right away. And I used gardening gloves, like thick gardening gloves, to cover my hands, because you don't want that stuff sticking to you. I made that mistake at first, and I had to use a lot of WD-40 spray to get the paint and the Plasti Dip off my hands, and it is not fun. Also, wear clothes that you don't give a shit about, because you will get it everywhere if you're not a pro spray painter, which I'm not. So I got that everywhere. And it was in the summer a bit, so I had shorts on and I got it all over my legs in the wind. There's the wind. Yeah, that was just dumb. Don't spray paint when it's windy or humid, because then it's not going to dry. And be careful where you put it after you paint it, because it sticks to it, and then you'll have that stuck. I had it stuck to plastic and paper because I didn't know what to put it on. What Evil Ted recommends is to glue a piece on and take a wire and hang it, and then spray paint it so that's hanging there to dry, which is pretty smart, but I couldn't really do that. So if you're not going to spray paint pieces, like say it's for a small piece like what we used for Shiro's, one of his leg pieces, there's a design with a black V type of thing. So these little pieces I painted with acrylic paint. You gotta seal the paint, and so what I used was a floor thing. You know what, I will link it in the description. It's like you put on hardwood floors. It's the shiny stuff you put on hardwood floors. It's like this liquid, but that seals the paint. And so if you're just using acrylic paint, you're gonna have to put this hardwood floor soap thing over it to seal the paint, or else it's gonna come off. And it also gives it a little shine to it, so if you want that, cool. So once you're done painting, you're like in the home stretch, or you're actually done depending on what kind of costume you're doing. For lights, we didn't really need to do lights for this costume. I just wanted to add that extra, yeah, hit it out of the park type of thing. So I was gonna go all for it, make all the pieces light up. The only thing I just didn't do was the shoulder. The other thing was the ankles lit up, the thighs lit up, the collar lit up, and the jetpack in the back lit up. For that, you're just gonna have to find your own lights. Go to Radio Shack if there are Radio Shacks around. So you're just gonna have to research that yourself with lights and figure out how to hide the wires. I had to do a lot of thinking with that, cutting the foam and hiding those wires and batteries and switches. So yeah, that was it. That's how we made Shiro's Voltron cosplay. Yeah. Any questions? Let us know.
Totally forgot to mention the Mod Podge. So you put it over any seams, you take a piece of t-shirt and you cut up a piece and you put it on and then you lather a thin layer of Mod Podge over it. That's so that your sweat doesn't make the glue come out.